to Japan. Do you go to Japan often?
Yeah, I went for Japan for some business trip actually.
Okay, okay. Uh, my family and I we were planning on going to Japan last year actually. Um, and because of the pandemic, the restrictions were really really hard on visitors. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
is it
Because the restriction just they loosen the restriction like last month only. I mean like 2 weeks ago only, without the
yeah,
requirement of visa. So it's actually I'm actually considered lucky. Yeah.
so it's a lot easier now because I know they were making you stay in a hotel for a couple of days until they let you go out or
Yeah,
making you
correct.
quarantine. Hmm.
But you no longer have to quarantine actually. They started since 11th of October. You no longer need to quarantine.
Okay. Okay. Is it a beautiful place to go visit?
Yeah, but basically I actually went to Kyushu actually. It's part of the island in Miyazaki. I went to Miyazaki, part of the Kyushu's island, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Beautiful. Okay, we'll give it about another 3 minutes for the rest of us rest, to show up. Did you guys have any difficulty with the quiz?
Not really, Professor. Everything was in the notes actually. It's actually quite I believe it is straightforward questions.
Okay, perfect. Ahmed, did you take the quiz?
It was okay,
Okay,
solvable.
right. Lauren, did you take the quiz?
Yes, sir. It was
Okay,
fine. Yes.
okay, perfect. All right, we got more visitors coming in. I like that. I believe I had it's a total of 15 students, and I believe 13 were did the quiz, so some of them are missing, but today was the last day to complete it. So we only have one more quiz, and then to cover the second half of the other chapters, and then we will have a final exam, which pretty much covers all of the chapters. Um, somewhat the compilation of both of the quizzes. All right, guys, let's do start the class and let's do a little bit of a review to in regards to soft skills and the soft skills that we've covered so far. I know, some of this we know, but it's great to, based on my experience, it's great to review them once in a while because it really helps us to understand how important they are, right, in a daily life, in regards to our relationships, in regards to our friendships, in regards to work, in regards to our love life, all that stuff. It's really important to review some of these soft skills, and I think that we are in the right path to understanding the most important ones for management in general. So, once again, one concept that we do have to understand in management, and this is a review, is that we are problem solvers, which is one of the biggest skills that anybody could have. It's be able to problem solve. We don't see we don't see a problem as a problem. We see it as a challenge. So instead of actually getting anxiety or bad emotions because we have a new problem to solve, we actually get excited about being able to solve it. And we get that emotion of accomplishment after we do solve it. So in marketing management, that's what we're looking for, or in management in general. We're looking for people that is a problem solver, and it's not an easy skill to achieve because it is a mentality, right? So when we talk about soft skills and when we talk about management in general, there is a sense of independence. You're looking for a person to be able to solve their own problems and be able to answer their own questions. Somebody that you don't need to be managing, somebody that you don't have to be calling them and asking the question like, "What did you do today?" Right? So this is so important to understand that we're problem solvers more than anything, more than marketers, more than salespeople, more than accounting, all that stuff. We are problem solvers. And in those problem solvers, we have talked about couple of soft skills that we've had. The first one that we talked about was empathy. Empathy is being able to put yourself in somebody's shoes, right? Be able to understand and share the feelings of another. So why is that important in business and education in general? It's because we want to understand how somebody else feels about things that could be happening in life during that moment. And we have to, as managers, empathize and be able to understand where they're coming from. Uh, Empathize in a sense that if a job wasn't completed, what was the situation? Empathize that if they have kids, empathize that if you know they couldn't show up to work, right? Or empathize that they couldn't show up to class. So things like that are really important. Um, the next one that we covered was actually motivation. Motivation. Why is motivation so important? Because it actually changes behavior. It actually changes how you act. So if a person is motivated not only by money, remember that money is not the only motivator around the world. It could be simply by providing, um, a gym membership for somebody, or providing free daycare for the kids that they have, or providing uh, free education for some of these individuals like us that were still going to school. So that is motivation because you want to be able to change a behavior by your employee, or you're the student, you're the people that you're mentoring or managing. You want them to change some type of behavior, and you want them to, be motivated to do a better job. The other one that we had in here was actually integrity. Integrity, why is integrity good? Is because we're actually looking between the difference between right and wrong. And we're actually looking into um, doing what is right and not what is convenient. Of course, it's very convenient to not to it's very inconvenient, let's say, to wait for the traffic light to be, to go from red to yellow, right? To red to green. But it is the right thing to do because we have to wait for others to go across. Same thing when we have to cross the street. Do we have to go all the way to the traffic light, or can we cross the street in the middle of the avenue? Right? It's not convenient because we have to walk more, but yet is the right thing to do. Of course, we're in different countries, right? In Colombia, we used to cross the streets in the middle because it was, too far to go all the way to the traffic light and see um, to go through the crosswalk, right? But it's the difference between what is convenient and what is actually right, the right thing to do. We have to think about how we are hurting others or how are we affecting somebody else's life through integrity. Because as long you could be a business owner and then you will realize, let's say, for example, that you're an employee and you used to take advantage of the system. You used to take advantage that they gave me a cell phone. That you used to take advantage that they gave me a computer. And I took advantage of those moments. Sometimes I was browsing the internet. Sometimes I was doing different things during working hours. Of course, it's convenient because during not working hours, but it's the right thing to do. So it's something for us to keep in mind. And it's almost something that if I'm not doing anything wrong to somebody, if I'm not affecting it, we have to think about everybody else, but also put yourself as being the business owner and actually understanding if I would like that to be done to me, right? That's part of the integrity. Do I want people to do this to me? Okay. The next one that we had was work ethic. Work ethic is that person that is always behaving professionally. It's ready to teamwork and cooperate, and it consists on high quality work. Have you guys been on a job that, let's say, you don't want to be part of that company anymore, but you still go and do 100%, and that is work ethic, where you say, as long as I am part of this company, I will be doing or giving my 100%. It is difficult because a lot of the times your motivation is not there, then your integrity kicks in, and then actually your work ethic, because then you have to think about, okay, I know I don't like this job, or let's say I have a week or 2 weeks of working, so I need to actually um, do still my 100%. So that's work ethic. It's if I was to be in that position of a business owner, I also have to think about that I wish my employees will give 100% all the time. All right. So any of the ones that are in class right now had any difficulties with the quiz or everything okay? I know some of you guys already answered. Daniel, did you have any difficulties with the quiz or anything like that? Rodas, Oli, please let me know if you did. If no, everybody did very good on that quiz. I had about 13 answers, so there should be some that are still missing, but the quiz will be closed. You know, we're done with this session. So, um, okay. So I wanted to share something pretty interesting because today we're going to be talking about branding. We're going to be talking about companies uh, that actually created a mark and we remember them very well. All right, you guys, can you give me a company that you visit pretty often, or it's one of because we have different countries, different places. I want to know which one is like a popular company or brand that was in your country. Ahmed, what's a popular brand in your country?
If we are talking electronics, for example, then Apple and Samsung, and now Huawei is coming to the market. Okay, if we are
Okay.
talking about athletic clothes, then we can say Nike is very famous. Adidas is very famous. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Let me see, Doran. What are some brands besides the ones that, or what are some brands, yeah, that are very popular in your country?
Same as Ahmed, because here the foreign brands are very trendy in Egypt, so most of people
Okay.
are mania with these brands.
Okay. Okay. Somebody has different ones. What about food? What about places to go eat? Koi, Rhodes, Oli, Dania. Ko, which ones are popular brands on your country that you remember?
I think for food lately, Korean brand are really trendy in Indonesia. I can't remember the name of the brand, but like instant noodles from Korea is really trendy nowadays in
Okay,
Indonesia.
and noodles. And what makes that? Why is it trending, and what makes it unique?
I think it's because in Indonesia we mostly like spicy food, and instant noodles from Korea usually have like a bright red color, and I think because K-pop are trendy now, I think it influenced a lot as well.
Interesting, interesting. So see how that specific brand is all connected to a trend, right? Because K-pop is a trend. It's just something that is changing right now, even across the world, right? Even in the United States, everybody's doing, everybody's talking about it. So it's very interesting. Um, Anybody else do Ollie? I mean, Co or Ollie? I have somebody that some chat. Beverages, it's Coca-Cola, right? Food is McDonald's and KFC. So what made these companies so so we have Nike, right? We have Adidas, we have Coca-Cola, we have McDonald's, we have you know, Apple, Samsung. What made these companies so different that actually made it across, uh, as successful brands, and they stayed forever. Um, and the funny thing is that we do remember their logos, right? We do remember the logos very well, and we do remember that. Somewhat we remember a lot of the commercials, right? Like for example, Coca-Cola has these commercials every Christmas, right? So they're very consistent in regards to their branding. So let me share some fun advertising that I like, because with the background as graphic designer, I really like looking into these things. So once again, I'm gonna share my screen, and please go ahead and let me know if you guys see it okay. You guys see my screen?
Sir.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So this is some creative ideas for poster designs and things like that. Something that really catches my attention, and I really need your collaboration in here. But minimalist design. So what are we trying to understand in here? Is that McDonald's offers, free Wi-Fi. But look at how creative they just use their fries, which is one of the most popular items for them, and the rest of it is red, because we recognize that color red and we actually connect it with McDonald's. Now, with that said, as minimalist, why is it minimalist? Because actually in design and marketing, less is more. Why is that important? It's important because We don't have to, every time we're trying to send a message to somebody or we're trying to make them to do something, persuade them into doing something like marketing, um, we don't really need a lot of words. We really have to find the minimum amount of words to be able to adjust um, and make them take a reaction. So something like this, very simple. You know, McDonald's could have spent a lot of money on campaigns and doing a lot of graphics and things like that. And I bet you they still did. But this one is still one because it's so simple, right? This one, simply alarming savings. It's a company that sells and makes glasses, right? But it's alarming, right? But it still looks like a pair of glasses. Very, very simple and minimalistic. Look at this one. Save paper. Pretty much saying you have to save the world, right? But we don't really need a lot of words to be able to remember this brand. And look, it's a very popular brand, and yet again, you know, advertising is very straightforward and simple. If you save paper, you save the world. Find the other ones that were really interesting. That world ears, very, very straightforward, very simple. There's so many here that were very interesting. Look at these posters. They are connected. So this is complementary posters, right? They work side by side. You don't only have to do one poster. You can complement them side by side, right? And it's going to create some type of branding, some type of recognition, some type of aspect that you're for sure going to remember because it's so different, right? Look at this one. Both of the posters are playing ping pong, right? Very simple, black and white, contrast. Now we're looking into design, but um, now that we see how simple or minimalistic things have to be in order to actually get across the message, look at this one. Food and wine, fork, which has some wine bottles. Why am I showing you guys this? Because the more you guys understand how quickly and easy it is to transfer a message to somebody, then it's easier for you guys to manage. Because managing actually becomes that simple. You have to make it very straightforward and almost have people repeat their message to you. But nevertheless, these are type of advertising that actually makes people remember companies. Now, something that I really like is using negative space for logos. Logos, why am I showing you this? Because it is actually part of a branding. We have a branding that has logos, slogans. We have a mission, vision. We have advertising, specific colors, right? Like this. Use of negative space, right? And it's a coffee shop. Travel agency, you can see. Look at these logos. Very straightforward. The Guild of Food Writers, and there is a spoon in the middle. If you see it, there's an ink, and look at this pardon, right? Look at this pardon logo. How simple and yet very complicated. But that's what you want to do. You want to be able to communicate complicated messages through a very, very simple and less is more. But we could learn something out of this class, which a lot of us already know that less is more, especially we could take it from the Japanese culture and things like that, where everything is so simple and very minimalistic that it allows us to breathe. So imagine these type of messages that you're communicating to your people, but yet you create anxiety instead of anticipation. Anxiety is actually that you create by, building up something that that person is going to get scared or be afraid of. But if you create some type of anticipation, then they get excited about what's going to happen next. So you have to be able to communicate these messages in a very simple and effective way. Look at the zoo, the monkey, look at the lion in there. Look at how the panda looks. Formula One, they could have just put the one in there, but look, it's a negative space. Now, with that said, some of these popular logos around the world, look how simple they are and how clear they are in communicating a message. One of the most popular for the for their logo is FedEx because they were able to mix the E and the X and put an arrow in there. One of the populars around the world. Now, I'm going to cover some right here, and I'm going to cover chapter number 9. So with that said, I wanted to share those two things because, like I said, in management, it's all about getting across a message, and be able to communicate it fast because you always think that a person only has about 30 seconds to be able to read your message and to be able to understand it. So keeping that in mind, you guys have to be able to communicate fairly quick. And that is what graphic design gave me in that aspect. Any questions so far? Stop me if you have any questions. Okay, so learning objectives of chapter number 9. Recognize the essential elements in a brand, learn the importance of brand equity in product strategy, explain the role of packaging and labeling as critical brand elements, define the responsibility of warranties and service agreements in building customer confidence. Now, I'm sure you guys remember part of the review is that we, as marketing managers, we work with all of the departments in a company, including the people that packages your products, including the people that chips it, including the people in accounting. So all of this is important for your branding because you want to deliver the right look of your product. You want it to be in a specific shape, you want it to be looking professionally, and you want it to always make a difference and look different. Now, with that said, let's move on into this. What is a brand? A brand is a name, term, sign, symbol, or design, or any feature that identifies one seller's goods or services as distinct from those of other sellers. Now, we don't just have to identify our company and make it stand out. We're actually making it to be remembered. We're actually telling people, hey, I'm here to stay. And that's what you want to be able to communicate with everybody. I'm here to stay and I want you to remember me. And how do we do that? There is a lot of like what we just saw with McDonald's is the color, right? The colors that they use, the message that they transfer. Could be some very words, your logo, your name, the name has to be sounding, it has to be respectful to other countries. There's a combination of a lot of things to be able to create a brand. But creating a brand is actually somewhat related to how we remember you. Remember that we talked about positioning last week and what the customers think about you? That's pretty much of a brand. A brand is actually what's in your mind when somebody mentions this specific company. So a name, term, sign, symbol, all of that comes with it to make it something that you remember. But in reality, is what do I remember about this company? And how do I relate to that? Branding strategy refers to the unique elements of a brand that defines the products sold by the firm. So when you create a branding strategy, it's actually creating those logos, those areas that actually make it define the products, posters, advertising, all of that fits in here to make sure that people, when they see your logo, when they see your slogans and things like that, are all capable of actually telling the story, actually talking about the products that you have. Next one will be branding strategy. It's an integral part of the product development process because companies know that successful new products result from a well conceived branding strategy, meaning good product, it all depends on how you sell it, pretty much. So you can have the best product, but if you're not creating the right branding strategy to be able to bring people in, you will have problems. For example, instant noodle. Instant noodle, it's crazy the story that she was telling us because it is connected to a trend more than anything. And understanding that the other culture likes spicy food and things like that. So combining all these things, even the color red was something that brought her attention because it's connected to spicy and it's connected to the culture, it's connected to all these things. So it starts becoming a lot more popular based on that branding strategy, right? They could have picked purple for their colors and things like that, but no, they picked something that was very relatable to the specific country. Brands play many roles, customer brand roles. Customer brand roles. Brands convey information about the product. Number one. Second one is brands educate the customer about the product. Yes, brands help reassure the customer in the purchase of decisions. So you're not only just conveying a message, you're actually educating somebody on how to use this product, how to actually take advantage of it. And more than anything, you have to reassure these people that the decision making when they purchase this product, it's important and it's actually um, making a decision of spending a lot of money, right? So Apple is one company that makes a really, really, really good differentiation in this. When you buy a product, they do actually reassure you the purchasing decision is actually good, right? Why? Because they have customer service really good. They have a really good warranty. They have a really good presence in the market. And by the way, their products do last a long, long time. So that's a huge, huge aspect of it that we have to keep in mind. That part of the brand is that we're actually reassuring um, that we're reassuring our customers about, the decision of purchasing. Um, Brands play many roles, you know. Why is that? Because they offer, we have to think about what else comes with the brand, and it comes with responsibility, right? Because once we create a logo, once we create a product that represents our brand, once we create things that are related to this specific, product, customer service people, we have to realize that there is a responsibility behind it. So, like trademark, brand offering, effective efficiency, methodology for categorizing products, a company like 3M, things like that. It's has so many products. Company like 3M definitely identifies that. Um, Definitely identifies the fact that there's so many products that are responsible for um, the quality of our brand. One of these products could go bad, and then the whole brand could go down, right? Because we justify just that this product represents the whole brand. Now, you guys already know the companies, let's say, for example, Johnson and Johnson or McDonald's or even Starbucks, Coca-Cola, they all have had very bad experiences. For example, there was a lawsuit because McDonald's coffee was too hot, or there was problems because their fries were made to last a long time. They even say that fried from McDonald's could be in a car for 3 months, and when you pick it up, it still looks the same. It doesn't create any mold or anything like that. So those are things that are questionable, right? Um, and then companies like Coca-Cola there have come up with products that are not as good as the original Coca-Cola, and then it definitely affected, their stock, and also definitely affected the view that you have in regards to that company. Now, with that said, that gives an opportunity for other companies to come into market. That gives an opportunity to other companies to take advantage of that market share. Okay, so brands play many roles, like competitors. Competitor brand roles. Market leading brands provide competitors with a benchmark against which to compete. For example, Huawei and LG compared to their smartphones to brands like Samsung and Apple to get noticed. So, what you're trying to do is actually you're not trying to compete so much for, hey, my product is the best one. It's more about I don't want you to notice the other one. And that all depends on your advertising, your branding, and things like that. Because the more that you put your name out there, the less that the other companies are going to be noticed, right? So, any questions so far? I feel like this subject is very, very straightforward, and but yet also very complicated, because a lot of the times we just want to go to business, but we don't actually think on how important it is to actually creating branding, a level of understanding from people from the outside, and actually understanding that we need to create a position in their minds, in the customer minds, to actually make that like it says right here, it must be real, identifiable, and meaningful among products in the market space. And it's not so much in the market space, but in the mind of the customer space, that they actually occupies some type of recognition. So when you pass by this certain logo, then you'll be able to connect with them and understand what they are. That is brand identity. And brand identity is actually the one that makes it meaningful and differences between other companies. Now, it's unconscious, but if you know, it's easier to make a purchase decision if you have seen their logos before. Even if you haven't dealt with them before, if you've seen their logos and they give you some other options, sometimes it's easier to make that decision. It's unconscious. Your mind has seen the logo, they feel familiar with it, therefore, it's easier for them to actually make a decision. And it's not us, it's actually your mind playing tricks, because they have seen that logo, they want to actually buy it. So, brand equity, the brand equity is everything that we just talked about. You have your logos, you have your symbols, you have your advertising, and all the stuff. That's equity. That's all that you have built to be able to build a company. So, that is brand equity. Any questions so far? Okay, let's move on into this one. Okay, so brand equity, just a definition, is a set of assets and liabilities linked to the brand name and symbols. So pretty much when you sell your company, there's something that comes with it that is called goodwill. Some of you guys are familiar with accounting. In accounting, you actually will find a term that is called goodwill. And goodwill means just the name of the company, and the equity of the brand. It's part of how much the company was being valued. So, for example, a company like Coca-Cola, they could sell the assets in general, like their machinery or the actual, you know, real estate or companies they have, but just the name Coca-Cola, it's already very expensive, and it creates a huge part of the statement, the balance statement, the cash flow that actually says, hey, Coca-Cola name is more expensive than actually everything that we own. Now, defining brand equity, it's brand awareness, right? How many people is aware of my brand? Brand assets, how much advertising or things that I have that create a really good brand. Brand loyalty meaning how many customers do I have that come back just because of the brand. Brand association, what do I relate the brand with? And perceived quality. So, for example, let's use Apple again. Everybody's aware of Apple, right? They have really good assets because their logo is very recognizable. And then brand loyalty. Loyalty is created by great quality that we have in the bottom, perceived quality, and Apple has delivered the quality. Brand association, we associate it with good quality, we associate it with design, and we associate it with really really good individuals or also high end, because in reality Apple is a high end brand, especially in the United States compared to Samsung or Windows. Most valuable brands. Why are these brands so valuable? Because everybody knows them across the world, and this is all changing all the time, but we all acknowledge that companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon are all over the world and everybody recognizes them. So again, brand equity, customers, sponsors, and benefits. When you buy a company or when you buy a brand, you're actually buying their customers, right? You're actually buying the perceived quality, brand connections that you have, the brand loyalty that comes from the customers. So all of this is going to save you money in the long term because you don't have to build that reputation anymore. So when you're looking at a company and you're trying to buy it, this is something that you're looking into and you're trying to understand the most, right? Because why? Because we are trying to actually get people to recognize us. That's what takes most of the money at the beginning of a business, right? Actually understanding and making people to recognize that. So branding decisions, standalone or family. So standalone brands separate the company from the brand, which insulates the company if there is a problem with the brand, but are expensive, offer little or not synergy between company brands. Dove, Axe, Dove. So this is giving an example of how we could create small little companies that are part of yet a big company, but they don't affect, the other things. So we don't relate them to the specific big brand. Now, why is that important? Because we actually have to be able, like we said, if the company or a product or a customer service for that specific section of the company doesn't do well, it doesn't affect the other one. So that's when we have the ideas of a standalone brands or family branding. Family branding, advantages and disadvantages are just the opposite. One negative event reflects on all. You see the difference when we have family branding, then we have one company that will be affected by one product that, doesn't do good or anything like that, then it would affect the specific name of that company. But standalone brands, you only focus on that specific brand as a customer and you don't affect the other ones. A company can expand product categories through category extension. Patagonia used its strong brand to extend into food and liquor. So a lot of the times we don't even know that that company has many other companies. So for example, let's think of let's just Google real quick Johnson and Johnson. Hopefully this shows us. So, for example, look at Johnson and Johnson. See, this one wasn't a good example. Look at all the different companies Johnson and Johnson owns, but yet again, when we use them, we don't actually think of Johnson and Johnson. So this is a very, very good example to actually realize that a lot of the times you're buying from the same company, you're buying from the same brand, but yet again, if something goes bad with Motrin or if something goes bad with Splenda, I don't think of Johnson and Johnson. I didn't even know that Splenda was part of Johnson and Johnson. But we don't think about Johnson and Johnson, and that's how they cover the actual brand equity and the goodwill of the company and the name of the company. So that's very, very important for you guys to understand and you guys to see the difference. Examples of brand line and category extensions, pretty much what we were just seeing with Johnson and Johnson. Okay, branding decision, national or store. National brands that are sold around the country under the same brand create efficiencies in marketing because we only have to promote one brand, communication and distribution, and highly perceived as quality and price, right? The store brands are when large retailers create a store brand to market their own products. So, for example, you have Kellogg's, right? You have Kellogg's that they have cereals all over the world and they present themselves into different ones, right? So those are store brands and it depends on the part of the world. But national brands will be even Oreo cookies present some type of the same branding, but yet again, they also have to change, but they keep the colors. So the national brand stays the same, which is good. It actually allows us to understand it as perceived quality and price. But if we look at the other brands that are just created because they are trying to compete for lower price, like right here, stores contract with national manufacturers like P&G and compete with national brands through lower prices. Something that you guys need to know, for example, Kellogg's that has a monopoly in all the cereals, what they do is that they actually, when they see a new cereal coming in, they actually lower their prices, so they don't compete with this. Branding decision, licensing. Companies can also choose to extend their brand by licensing, offering other manufacturers the right to use in exchange for a fee or percentage. So what happens? I already have a brand. So what I do is that I actually allow somebody else to build my products because that's easier for me. I already have a brand. I have somebody producing my product and it creates more revenue, generates additional revenue, is little risk because I'm not manufacturing anymore and must be monitored closely for product quality and brand image protection. So when I am the owner of this company, it's easier for me to go to manufacturers and actually understand and see the quality. But when I'm doing the manufacturing myself, it actually takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to be able to do it. So that's branding decisions. Licensing is actually pretty good to let's say for example like Apple and Samsung and all that stuff that produce products in Taiwan, China, and all that stuff, um, or Vietnam. Um, they do a lot of licensing because they already have a huge exposure as branding. Co-branding joins two or more well-known brands in a common product and takes brands and market them in partnership. That one is very straightforward. And the co-branding, the advantages of the co-branding is actually that you know they're stronger when they're together, but also you lose part of the control. Why do you lose part of the control? Because now you have two owners or you have two different groups that you're working with. Opens up new markets, right? Because I can take advantage of the market from the other company. Now, the negative effect is one of the brands has a problems, right? So if the other company has a problem, then it could affect and it could be reflected on me. So that's also a disadvantage. Advantages for co-brandings will be lower marketing communication costs, of course, because now between two people you're doing it, and also overexposure. That would be a disadvantage because you're overexposed on some other things like bad reputation, right? Branding decisions, co-branding relationship. Co-branding relationship, which is pretty much what we were talking about, like joint venture, like Visa and American Express. Um, Two international brands are linked, like P&G, Scope, and Crest. And joint ventures occur when two or more companies join to create a new brand. So, for example, look at this: Marriott Hotels and IKEA created Moxie, a new European hotel brand for millennials. So, who would have thought a hotel company mixing with a furniture company just to be able to bring a good experience? And it's easier, right? Because if I'm a hotel, I don't need to brand any of the I don't need to buy or spend money on furniture, and I'm always having to change furniture. So it only makes sense for me to mix myself with a furniture company, which is a great idea. I didn't even know that IKEA was related with other companies like that. Now, what are essential brand elements like packaging? What's the packaging objectives? It's not only to protect your product, right, when you ship it, but it's used to communicate, right? It's used to communicate with your logo. It's used to communicate messages, and it's used to actually communicate the quality of the product. A lot of the times when you see the packaging, that's how you can actually identify if what's inside is valuable or not. And it's also another way to connect to the customer. So packaging objectives are these three: protect, communicate, and connect to customers. Packaging and labeling, essential brand elements, aesthetics. They have to look good, right? Designs that are appropriate, interested, and persuasive to the target market are very critical. Harmonizes with all elements in marketing mix, which the marketing mix, if you guys remember, are product, price, place, and promotion. The package reinforces marketing communications by connecting advertising images like logos, pictures on the package, right? So for example, the instant noodles that she was talking about. You guys have any questions? I heard my voice. I think somebody. Okay.
Sorry, my mistake.
No problem. Okay, so let's go back to this. Part of the brand essential elements is legal requirements, marketing requirements, consumer requirements. So you don't only look into the legal aspect of a brand, because legally, you have to make sure that nobody else has your logo, right? Legally, you have to know that all the messages that you're conveying are actually legal in all the countries and you're not offending or disrespecting anybody. Legally, you also have to register your logo, register your website, and things like that. Consumer requirements, right? We have to know the actual consumers that we're targeting with our brand, the type of colors that they use. That is it similar to their brands? Is it similar to is it trending in their country? And marketing requirements, of course. There is some basic concepts in marketing that we have to pay attention to. Warranties and service agreements. This is part of your brand. Why? Because we have specific warranties and we have general warranties. General warranties are the ones that make a broad promise about product and customer satisfaction. This is something that, for example, in Apple, they do. Our products, have warranty for this long, and we're going to be here to stand by it. We have multiple offices that you can come and stores that you can come and fix your product. Where specific warranties will be more explicit about a specific part of the product or the performance related to components of the product. So, for example, usually on the automotives, they tend to specify a different warranty for the engine, right? So that is quite different. So they say these parts have this much warranty, but the engine has this much warranty, or the chassis, or the tires, right? The tires have their separate warranty, specifically because a lot of these manufacturers carry warranties from other manufacturers. So warranties are huge. Why? Because it allows people to feel confident when they're buying. So it's something that we tend to forget about, but it's huge and it's part of our customer service. Warranties help to define the brand, right? We have to understand that by a good warranty, like say for example, Kia actually came into the United States offering 100,000 um, warranty on the engine and the car. So for 100,000, if you have any problems with the car, which is almost half of the life of a car, that you're promising that you're going to help the customers, that is huge, and that made people feel very, very powerful. All right, guys, let's take a 5 minute break, and then we come back to this. So my time is 7, so I'll see you guys at 7:05, and then we'll cover the soft skill and we'll cover the second part of our presentation. Okay, okay, 5 minutes, 5 minute break. Hey guys, I'm back. Is everybody back? Any questions about the chapter that we just covered? Any questions about branding?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so the actual, I'm gonna give it another minute for people to come back. But the soft skill that I want to cover today, give it another 30 seconds. Branding is the difference between actually just having a business or actually wanting to, between just being a moneymaker type of website or actually wanting to make a difference or make a name across the whole world, right? And you build it by, contacting individuals that will take your brand to the next level, you know. Um, the soft skill for today is adaptability. Ahmed, can you actually help me with to understand what adaptability is? Ahmed, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Uh-huh.
To co-op or to, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. To be able to cope with the changes happening, to survive, understand, survive any change. Can you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm facing some issues with my internet, so that's why.
No. We can hear you.
So as I said, adaptability is when you can co-op, live, and change yourself or at your behavior along with the changes around you.
Perfect. So I couldn't give a better definition than that. Ahmed, thank you so much. So actually, um, adaptability is all connected to changes. Remember what we talked about problem solving? Instead of seeing something as scary, now we see it as a challenge, which is everything that's happening to us in life. It's a challenge, right? It's not even a problem. It's a challenge that we're actually seeing, and we get excited because challenges are fun, right? We just want to keep being able to solve all these problems and be able to keep going because what if we just get frustrated? Then we have a life problem, right? But we could get frustrated, but the frustration turns into, oh, this makes me stronger and I can do it, right? So that's adaptability. Adaptability is actually somewhat the definition of wisdom. Wisdom being able to get to any place or be part of anything and actually be able to adjust yourself to that situation that you're in. So it's the quality of being able to adjust to the new conditions, right? The capacity to be modified for a new use or product, right? Um, or purpose. So you as a person, you have to be able to change depending on the situation that you're in. And that makes a huge difference between being hired or not getting hired for this new job. Because essentially we want to be able to deal with a human being that is able to say, okay, you know what? Today there is a great economic position, but tomorrow I don't know if I'm gonna have enough money to feed my family. So we have to be in both sides and have to be able to identify that, hey, I could adjust to a really good life, or, I could adjust to a really short budget to be able to survive. Or in general, I could adjust to change in different countries, right? I could go from, Japan to Vietnam, or I could go, from United States to Spain. And I still adjust to the lifestyle, adjust to the different scenarios that we have. But not only that, it happens with jobs, right? Are you able to adapt it to the changes that are happening in your job? A lot of the times we cannot, but most of the time, if you have that emotional intelligence, if you have that knowledge about how important it is for you to understand that life is going to give you different changes throughout your whole life, throughout your whole time, then you will be able to be part of that. So the soft skill for today, it's adaptability, and adaptability expands your capacity to handle change. Change is important. If not, we will get bored. If not, things wouldn't be things will stay the same forever. But some people don't like change. Some people don't like facing challenges. But it also is something that makes us to feel like we're alive, right? Because we feel like we have accomplished something by adjusting to a change. Now, all right. So to finish the class, I wanted to really share any questions about adaptability and how is that important for your job? Okay, so I wanted to cover this part from let me share my screen one time, and please confirm that you see my screen. Somebody that could please confirm that you see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So from here on, we're going to cover one chapter at a time, um, and we're going to talk about different things like this. But uh, this is the last part of this chapter, which is branding, but it is connected to what we were just talking about. The most popular brands are more known, which is like Apple, Google, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Toyota, IBM, Samsung, Amazon. Why are these companies so known, or why are they so great? We have to create value. Remember that value is always remembered. Cost or price gets forgotten a lot of the times. So value comes with customers have to really value a product before they invest their money in it. And remember that that was one of the things that we sell. We have to create some reassurance of people buying our product, right? They have to know that there is something that we are getting in return to our price, to our money. Now, second step is a clear identity, right? Which is what we just talking about. Identity meaning you have to be consistent with the logos that you have, consistent with the slogans that you have, consistent with the different aspects of a brand, right? So clear identity is important, and that's why you see Apple carrying the same materials, the same logos. Brand experience. Brand experience is the one that creates a customer loyalty. Why is that? Because if I experience a great time with this company, then I will be able to say that I'm going to come back. If I experience really good feedback from my products that I buy from Apple or Coca-Cola, or the drink that I have is delicious, and I keep coming back, and it's still the same quality all the time, then the brand experience is there. So I become loyal to that specific company. Now, the other thing that we have is staying ahead of the competition, right? Staying ahead of the competition, it's always, a challenge. Like it says right here, it sounds like an obvious statement, but it's important. Being able to think different, being able to challenge your your competitors, and being able to come out with new ideas. It's not easy, as you guys already know. So it's not easy to just create new products. It's not easy to come up with new advertising. It's not easy to come up with differentiation between you and the new competitors, especially when they try to copy your product, especially when they're creating an exact replica of your product. In some countries, it's legal to create a different, I said the same product, but different brand. Now, consistency. Coca-Cola teaches us everything about consistency, right? So ensures company marketing is consistent is vital. Why? Because we want to make sure that every time we see these logo, or every time we see these slogans or these accounts and things like that, are always connected to something in our minds, right? So here is showing us the Facebook pages, the Twitter pages, everything looks the same all across, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to create that consistency. Focus. There are many different few categories that big companies focus on. This is the customer and their own goals and what they're good at. So, as a company, if you have noticed some of the brands that have failed is because they don't focus on what they're good at. A lot of the times they try to come up with new ideas, new products, and they think of, oh, yeah, we might be able to do that. But no, you are good at this, and then you become better by doing it most of the time. So that's why it's so important that you stay focused on the products that you're good at. And you are good, let's say Coca-Cola doing the drinks, right? Although Coca-Cola is related to many different brands, but if you guys think about it, Coca-Cola doesn't really put their names on the other brands or the other products that they have because they want to still differentiate themselves and focus on those areas. So, so, so that's a quick review. A quick review will be: we need value for a company, for a brand to be good, a clear identity. We need to have a really good brand experience so people become loyal. Management style, it's important. Why? Because we want to make sure that we connect with the management very good, and also staying ahead of the competition, always thinking of different, thinking of how to differentiate yourself and how to be consistent is important. Why? Because we want to make sure that they remember our logos all the time. And the last part is the focus. You have to be focused on the things that you're good at. Guys, do you guys have any questions in regards to the chapter and the things that we just covered today? Any questions? One last time, we covered chapter number 9. We cover adaptability as the soft skill, and we also covered the different advantages that we have with or the things that are so important for a brand and to create brand loyalty and things like that. Now, one last time before we end the class for today, I want to ask, did anybody had any problems with the quiz or still missing to take the quiz? I know I said I had 13 responses so far. Um, is anybody in here that still needs to take the quiz? Take that as a no. And all right, I wish you guys any questions about the class today. Well, I wish you guys a wonderful rest of your day and rest of your week. And I wish you guys also an amazing week coming up. Thank you so much for attending this session on this class. Okay, hold on 1 second. Danny, I will double check if your quiz was recorded. Okay, I will double check. And I will let you know in case they have to be retaken or something. I will communicate with you, Dania. Any more questions? If not, thank you guys for this.
Thank you, Professor.
It's been an amazing
Thank you,
class. You guys have a
Professor.
great
Good
great
night.
of the good night. You guys have a great.
Have a nice day.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Sure.